Hey guys, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays. As you can tell, I'm a little bit excited. I don't care that it's episode 23, because patch 2.5 will be available in less than 24 hours. So, just trying to kill time at this point, so I'm glad that I have Mondays to do these videos where I answer you guys' questions, because otherwise I'd just be staring at a wall in the fetal position the whole day like, come on, come on. Anyway, quick announcement though. I've been doing a podcast every week. You guys may remember it, XIV Reborn. We did it last year in 2014 for the majority of the first half of the year. Unfortunately, due to timing and people being busy, we weren't able to do it for a pretty long time. However, we're back and doing it, and tonight we're going to be talking about the 2.5 trailer, all the things that we saw last week. You know, changes in expectation that we had from previous episodes. It's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern, which just happens to be the very minute that the servers go down. So I'll leave a link to that in the description of the video. So if you're bored, you want to come by at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when it's happening. I'll see you guys there. But without further ado now, let's get into this week's questions. My first question comes from Twitter, and it's a question that I luckily have a short answer to. Question for Mrhappy Mondays. Do you think Square Enix will ever put the Warriors of Light in the game so we can talk to them? You're talking to one right now. All the legacy players are the technical Warriors of Light. If you are not a legacy player, they will, compare you to the Warrior of Light. If you are a legacy player, they will say you are the Warrior of Light, or you are one of the Warriors of Light. So they are technically in the game. You just got to talk to your fellow legacy friends if they're on your server, and bam, you're talking to a Warrior of Light. So now with that done, let's switch over to YouTube. There are a lot of questions that got spammed, that got marked as spam. I'm going to go through those real quick, and then we'll go to some of the other questions. Hey, Mrhappy, love your videos. Keep them up. My question for you is that do you think we'll have to do the 2.0 to 2.5 main storyline quests to have to do the Heavensward expansion main storyline? Ugh. I get that question a lot, and the real answer is we don't know. At this point, it's just speculation, but you're asking me if I think? I don't. They found a way around needing Yugiri for Ninja. I feel like they can find a way around Ishgard. The problem is, it's a literal continuation of what's going to happen in 2.5 Part 1 and Part 2. And everything that's been culminating up to this point. It's just hard for me to imagine them not making you do it. But at the same time, they've always been about ease of accessibility and trying to get new players in. So it doesn't really make sense to me that they would let them skip all that story. It's tough, but I think they'll find a way around it. The next question we're going to be answering, question from week 21. Hey, Mrhappy, if Nanamo Onamo were to be assassinated, what would they do about the Culinarians Quest line? You don't know, she plays quite an important role. No, I know, trust me. Everybody's let me know ever since I guessed that Nanamo might bite the big one in 2.5. Here's the thing, the Culinarian cutscene could theoretically happen before that event takes place. The problem is, if the player completes the 2.5 story before they do the Culinarian one, it's going to be tough. I think that they could find a way around that just by making the Culinarian quest sort of chronologically, no matter what happened before the story does. But that's a tough one, yeah. The thing is, there's always ways around it. They've made changes to cutscenes in the past, even if they're small changes, and they've shown that they can change dialogue and slight things for being a legacy player versus a non-legacy. I have to believe they're capable of that here as well. But yeah, you're right. They would probably maybe. I don't want to use that as a reason why she may not get assassinated, but it may cause complications. Another question from episode 21. Do you think Square Enix will implement skills for the Fisher that use GP and Heavensward? That's actually been heavily required. It's heavily requested. A lot of it just because of how hard it is to catch. I think it's 106 big fish right now. As I'm not a fisher, I'm just stating things from memory. Fishing is, kind of just chillax and fun, and you get some good things from desynthesis, like Nepto Dragons, for example. I think they should. I think it would definitely, be a little bit more interactive with the class. Don't know that they will. I would like to see it though. And here's another one from week 21 related to the marriage system. Currently, the only practical things the marriage system gives are the rings that you can use to teleport to your partner's position, and the two-person mount if you chose the gold plan or above. Do you think they will add more useful options later? It's just a shared inventory. That's a scary thing. Or shared housing. I think shared housing comes with shared inventory because you could probably stick a few what are they called? Oh no, it's not a free company chest, so you can't really do that, can you? No. I would like to see the housing that has things that both the players can do. They just need shared housing. That was something that totally caught me off guard when they said they hadn't prepared it ahead of time, because you're married now. Why would the house not be shared? I think they should, because that's just something. That's just practical, you know? You're married. The house is both of yours now. Didn't get the prenup, but yeah, I think that they should definitely work on some more features like that. All right, this next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. I didn't know you could even hashtag on YouTube. Do you think it would be cool to have air combos in the game for melee DPS? High risk, high reward moves that you have to jump for, and each part of the combo keeps you in the air for a limited time. You die pretty quick. we've seen how risky it can be to even use jump as a Dragoon, and that's what, like a 3/4 of a second window where you can't move, or assassinate where it's like 3/4, or a 1 second window where you can't move. Putting yourself in an even longer window, at that point it's literally just, oh well, the boss not AoE for this. It's not, it is high risk, but it's literally just, you know, is the boss not gonna AoE for the next however many seconds? So I'll just do an air combo. I don't know, that sounds like it's too far out of the way. There would need to be a job specifically that does those aerial type combos. Also, if the enemy is on the ground, or at least close to the ground, the practicality of it is pretty low in combat. Not like anything we do is practical anyway. I feel like there would need to be a job specifically that uses that, and the only one that makes sense to me is the Dragoon. And we've already seen what jumps can do for death, so I'm impartial to the idea. Next question. Hey, Shawasi. What is it now with saying things that I don't even know? These things could be insulting and I wouldn't even know. Question for episode 23. Do you think us PlayStation 4 users are good with that the system for the lifespan of Final Fantasy XIV? The system performs way better than the PlayStation 3, but aware that the game might receive graphical updates that put a strain on the system, might end up becoming the new PS3 in terms of how it just barely chugs along and sort of holds back development for certain game features. Do you think the PlayStation 4 support will ever be discontinued? If it gets discontinued, it won't get discontinued until like the PlayStation 5 comes out, if that ever happens. It's a good system. I don't see it holding people. The only place I've seen it hold anyone back at this point is in Mordona, because it's really, really crowded, or at a hunt or something. But for the general use of the game, they'd have to add some pretty crazy things to make it, you know, really rip apart the PlayStation 4. If the graphical update ended up putting a strain on its usability, they wouldn't do it. So I think you'll be okay. You know, especially into like 5.0, 6.0. I think you'll be okay. Next question. Hey, Happy. Question for week 23. I often hear tanks complain about boring tank swap mechanics in fights that require 2 tanks. But other than having 2 bosses like Dragon's Neck, or having the off-tank pickup adds, what other mechanics could... There's a lot of tank mechanics that really haven't been explored yet. Akmorn was a pretty decent one in turn 13, where the person that you're tethered to splits the damage with you, but splitting damage mechanics aren't really all that new. It was just Akmorn itself and the heavy need for both tanks to have a dedicated healer and to have the proper cooldown usage. Both tanks at the same time needing to have proper cooldown usage. Things like your main tank is fighting the boss, and there's a mechanic where the off-tank has to run around kind of like Ramuh in order to ensure the main tank survives. Things like that are also very welcome. Also, tank swaps that have to be done more constant, like for example, one tank tanks and then the other tank swaps back. That's kind of like turn 11 where the tank swap is there, but it's for a very short time. And also mechanics where tanks are tethered and therefore are both eating a frontal cone AoE at the same time. Things like that are all slight modifications. The bottom line is, unless you involve tanks in the major mechanics for the fight itself, it's hard to make just literal tanking a very super complex thing. There are some things like bosses, like for example, let's say Cerberus is going to be in the World of Darkness. Let's just say this. Let's say Cerberus had 3 heads, because there's 3. In fact, this may even happen. I may be guessing a mechanic that is actually going to happen. Let's say that Cerberus had 3 heads, so it's Cerberus's left head, Cerberus's middle head, and Cerberus's right head, and each tank had to tank their own head. And then each head gave their tank a debuff that required tank swaps, but because there's 3 tanks, it's all kinds of weird. Things like that are possible, but that's a 3-tank mechanic, not a 2-tank mechanic. This is another reason I'd like to see the party size increased at a certain point, because I think that there would be a lot more interesting mechanics if there were 3 tanks in a party than if there were 2. There's more things you can do with that, and more responsibilities that you can put on the tanks. I do agree, I would like to see more interesting things for tanks, and I think that they can do it. I'm just curious to see what those interesting things will be. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, do you think the value of our gil we own will decrease when the expansion hits? I'm asking because I've been saving gil, but fear my work will be all for nothing. P.S. Have an awesome Monday. You have an awesome Monday, too, since this is coming out on, excuse me, the following Monday. Value decreased? No. All the new items being really, really expensive for the first week? Yes. You're going to need a lot of gil saved up if you're going to want to be spending it on brand new things, or you're going to have to be ready to be selling those brand new things to make sure that you can keep your pockets full, because it's going to be expensive. Every time something's brand new, it's high in demand, it's still low in supply because people haven't adequately farmed it or obtained it long enough yet. They're going to be super expensive. So value won't decrease, but unless you plan on saving it until after the prices have calmed down at the beginning of Heaven's Word, it's going to go pretty quick. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, first time asking a question. Well, thanks for coming by and thanks for asking a question. I heard you say somewhere that when 3.0 goes live, you wouldn't be able to stream Alexander right away. Why is that? I was looking forward to seeing it, but I know it will probably be a little bit before I can get in there myself. Thanks for the great content. Well, in case you don't know, the free company I'm in is Death and Taxes. And one of our biggest things when new content comes out, specifically higher raid tiers, is to push for the first wins, or to win as quickly as possible. For example, one of the statics in Death and Taxes was World 3rd on turn 13, and they have a bunch of other accomplishments listed on the website as well. And when you're going for those kind of things, it's give or take whether or not you really want to stream them, because when you stream them, your competitors, I want to call it, it's not like we're actually competing for something other than a title, other than I guess EPing you could call it. But I love that competition. I love that world first race, and that's really the reason why I won't be able to stream it, is because until something's on farm, we are going for that race. We gotta try and win first. We gotta keep all our little secrets. That's really the truth behind it. But don't worry, just because I won't be streaming it the day it comes out, I will be streaming it once we've been getting through clears. So don't worry too much. You'll get to see Alexander soon enough. And besides, there'll be Alexander Easy. If that goes well, I'll be able to stream that if it's any use to me after, after you've cleared it the first time, if it has loot or anything like that. Even still, could still stream it, clear it with alternate jobs, just for fun. So, don't worry, you'll get to see Alexander, just don't expect Alexander hard mode right away, unless we can beat it really, really fast. So, don't worry too much. A question, an answer. Basically, can you sum up quickly what are the pros and cons of Heaven's Word? That's hard to say without playing it. Like, you can theoretically put pros and cons on paper, but a pro can become a con, and a con can become a pro. That sounds kind of weird saying out loud. The biggest, okay, so the pros are more stuff to do. The biggest, new jobs, a new tank, a new healer, a new ranged DPS, a new rating system that has 2 tiers of difficulty, so that way it's easier to access for some people, and also has rewarding and challenging content for the more hardcore player. You have more primals, you have new areas to explore. We have probably new systems coming into the game, like the free company crafting and the free company airships. Probably more expansions of the gold saucer we'll see. We don't know that for sure. We know we'll get more triple triad cards, maybe a new chocobo racing track. The thing is, on paper, an expansion sounds like nothing but a pro. Everything sounds like it's a great addition to the game. The only one thing people are worried about really seems to be flying and the increased number of jobs in the game while not increasing the party size, which we're still pretty sure is going to remain at 8. We're pretty sure. They, haven't said for sure yet. They have, actually. But who knows? They could always change it before it comes out. And the other con is that it's going to cost you more money. $40 it's looking like right now if you just want to buy the standard edition. So those are, of course, the 2 biggest cons. It's going to cost you more money. And flying, people are iffy about it. Can either be done really well or really poorly. So that's a potential con. I'd say that's a better question to ask me, excuse me for the congestion, after Heaven's Word has come out. If you don't want to spend the money, then it's hard to convince you otherwise. If you're looking for, you're thinking hard whether or not you should get it. I don't know if you're on the fence of getting it or on the fence of not getting it. So it's really hard for me to convince you one way or the other whether or not to get it. I'm gonna get it, obviously, but that decision's up to you, man. Hey, Mr. Happy, do you know how to do the Flail Rotation for Black Mage? I'm tired of elite rude players cursing me and trying to kick me because I don't know the perfect Flail Rotation. Even if I was really nice to them at the start. I've been taking to Fire 3, Fire 2, 2 to 3 times, and, okay. So, there's 2 or 3 different rotations you can do as a Black Mage, and they're all very close to each other. Depending on when you get server ticks, one can be better than the other. The one that it looks like you were trying to do is Fire 3, Fire 2, Fire 2. Oh, Fire 2 3 times. Okay, you didn't mean Fire 2 to 3 times. You meant Fire 2 3 times, then Swift Cast Flare. That's where you went wrong. Okay, Fire 3, then Fire 2 3 times, Flare, Swift Cast, Convert, Flare. That is the basic one, and then you transpose Fire 3, Fire 2, Flare. That's the basic one. The other one is Fire 3, Flare, Swift Cast, Convert, Flare, Transpose, Fire 3, Flare. That's another one. And then the big one, if you carry Ethers on you, and this will decimate everything, and if you don't have a tank that's got a lot of aggro, you'll probably die from this. Fire 3, Flare, Swift Cast, Convert, Flare, Ether, Flare. And then Transpose, Fire 3, Fire 2, Flare. Or even Fire 3, Flare. You could just go right into that. Those are all different rotations. Sometimes Black Mages throw in an extra Fire 2 because they don't want to pull aggro right away, which almost never works because it's still good damage. So, those are a few different ones. I can make a video on it, but Swift Casting that Flare after your Fire 2s, you shouldn't do. You should definitely hard cast a Flare, then Swift Cast, Convert, Flare. That way you're doing a ton of uploaded damage after you've kind of given the tank a little bit of time with your Fire 2 casts. You still might die if the enemies don't die quick enough or if the tank isn't holding enough enmity on them, but that is the basic answer that you're looking for. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, I love the videos. I see you're doing a Let's Play for new players. Would you ever consider a workshop type show? Higher level players would request help, send videos in of dungeon runs, and you could help coach them on their mistakes, etc. That's a weird thing to me. You know, especially if what if somebody sends in a video for Summoner and says, is my rotation perfect? I'm not a Summoner player by default, so I don't really feel like I could adequately answer that. It would really have to be about super basic things, because if it's about the very ins and outs of every individual job, you know, as somebody who doesn't play all the jobs, it just wouldn't be right. There are other people that play those jobs that are way more efficient. Like, for example, somebody came to me with Warrior, I'd send them to, like, Layla from my server, or I'd send them to Xeno, because they're Warrior players. They would actually be able to answer every single question. So, no, I'm not really concerned. Like I said, that would have to be really basic things, like, why do I always lose aggro to the healer, or is my AoE why is my AoE damage seem like it's not where it is? It couldn't literally be. So if I cast Bio and then I wait exactly 0.7 seconds to cast Bane and I do this, I can fit these two things in between. That would not go well for me. I keep using Summoner as the example. It sounds like a good idea on paper. I don't think it would really work the way that it sounds like it would. Hey, Mr. Happy, I want to hear from you, since I have many arguments in my free company. Which one is better, Monk or Ninja? People have wanted me to make a Monk versus Ninja video, although my Monk versus Dragoon video is so totally outdated. I should really update those before Heaven's Word, maybe. Maybe after Heaven's Word would be probably a good time to update the versus videos. Monk, if played right, which means, you know, knowing how to keep up your Grease Lightning stacks, you know, doing your damage rotation, using your Howling Fists and your Steel Peaks in between your global cooldowns, and the right use of potions and foods and all that stuff, Monk will win. Monk will win. But, for me at least, Ninja's a lot easier to play. It's got really great raid utility in other forms. You know, Monk's got Dragon Kick, which is phenomenal, especially in the final Coil of Vomit. It is amazing. And they also have a 25% Mantra, which is okay. It just helps maybe occasionally get like one less cast out of the healers. Help keep the tanks alive in a certain situation if they're tanking big damage. Whereas Ninja's raid utility is increasing everybody else's damage and ensuring that your Monk friend can keep DPSing even longer because you goaded him. I think they both have major strengths, and that they're both not super far off. Like, Monk's not like hundreds of DPS ahead of Ninja. They're really close, and both of their raid utilities are great. So, while Monk wins slightly in damage, I'd say they're basically even. You know, having a Monk and a Ninja, or a Dragoon and a Ninja in your group is great. Having both in your group is great. But I will say that it's either Monk and Ninja or Dragoon and Ninja. A lot of people very rarely consider Monk and Dragoon because they want that trick attack. They want that goad. It's that raid utility that makes the Ninja so powerful. I'm going to put them at even, actually. But Monk wins in DPS. Ninja's raid utility, people value it a little bit more because you're able to make use of it a little bit more. Dragon Kick is still amazing. Use it. Dragon Kick. Use it. Alright, as much as I would love for this video to be 4 hours long today because it means the day is going faster, I only have a few more questions in me. I gotta go grocery shopping today because there's no way in hell it's happening between Tuesday and Friday. So, I'm gonna answer, I'll answer 3 more, okay? Hi, Mrhappy. Either a question for Mrhappy Monday, or if the guide already exists, maybe someone can point it out. I have a 4-player static group to do dungeons: a 115 Paladin, a 106 White Mage, a 100 Dragoon, and a 72 Bard. I'm assuming those are each of your individual players. Our White Mage can't seem to handle larger pulls like Brave Flog's Hard Mode and Wanderer's Palace, even if I, the Paladin, use all my cooldowns. What's the right way to heal a large pull for a White Mage? That's going back to the whole coaching thing. I guess I would really need to see what's going on. I do want to say that Dragoon and Bard is not a terrible AoE combination, but a big thing about speedrun big pulls is being able to kill them before all the Paladin cooldowns are down. Otherwise, the healer's job just becomes disastrous. Also, when you're using your cooldowns at the start, White Mage using Holy a few times definitely helps. Also, just a White Mage Holying just to delay the use of the cooldowns, you know, that's 9 seconds of stuns that the White Mage can add in if it's done properly. You have to remember, Holy is a form of CC as well as it is damage, and its damage is phenomenal, especially when paired with your Bard for Faux Requiem. Other than that, it would really just be, if you're dying to Cure 1, he would just have to go out of his way and use a few Cure 2s. So, that I'd really have to see. Like, there's a lot of things that can be going wrong. I don't know if your White Mage is holying. I don't know if he's using regen. I don't know if he's just spamming Cure 1 and waiting for Cure 2 procs, or if he's using Cure 2s. If he's making use of Benediction and Divine Seal, Shroud of Saints if he's running low on MP. You know, you have a lot of cooldowns. Presence of Mind for faster healers. You have a lot of cooldowns as a White Mage, but one of the problems may be that the enemies are dying too slow. So if you could speed that up with a couple of holies, that would probably help. So, and just remember to spread out your cooldowns as a Paladin. If you literally pulled the entire first part of Brave Flocks, it can help to use Hallowed Ground right there, because there's so many enemies on you that giving the healer the opportunity to do a little bit of damage can also be a major benefit, and just reduce the amount of healing he has to do. Then go for your Sentinel, then go for your Rampart and your Bulwarks and all that. So that's going to be my answer to that one. It's not a great answer, but it's all I can do without knowing more. Alright, 2 more questions. Here's the first of them. Question for episode 23. Do you think we will get a 3rd cross class with the addition of the new classes? No, but I do think you'll be able to pick a 6th cross class ability, and who's to say that the abilities you learn between 50 and 60 won't be cross-classable? It's weird to think how it might work, because the new jobs don't have base classes. The base classes we have in the game right now have pretty much... They have really good cross-class. Like, there are so many things there that people consider mandatory. Blood for Blood, Invigorate, Swift Cast, Sure Cast, you know, things like that that are just there that you need, that you absolutely want. What else do we really need? What else would be nice to get cross-class? Goad and Perfect Dodge, I think, are both cross-class abilities that nobody makes use of yet. So... we gotta see. I don't think we'll get a 3rd cross-class. I think we'll just get a 6th cross-class ability because we're going up another 10 levels. So going from 5 to 6 just makes sense. And this last question is a very long one, but he said to please hear him out, so I'm gonna do it. My question involves turn 9. I'm an item level 117 Dragoon. I'm good at my job. When I started playing, LOL Dragoon was still a thing. I worked very hard to get away from that label. I hate this fight so much. It's the 4 extreme primals smash. It's like 4 extreme primals smashed together, and you have to clear them all in a row. Being a boss at phases 1 to 3 does nothing for you at all in phase 4. And my ability to practice phase 4 is gated by my party's ability to even get to that point. Statics fall apart, people stop wanting to raid, people chew me out for not being as good at a phase of a fight that I've only been given the opportunity to practice like 5 or 6 times, each of those times with a different party. As I am at the first 3 phases. Phase 4 is insane. Fire, Ice, Thunder is easy, but the Thermionic and Supernova go off at almost the same time as all of that, and most of the time we crumble before dive bombs. I'm getting pretty discouraged. I've been on this fight for 4 months, spanning 3 servers and 2 data centers, leaving statics that weren't as motivated as I was, or being excluded from statics that felt I was weighing them down. And it sucks being judged for performance on a part of a fight that you almost never get to practice consistently. What's worse is that people I can't get to phase 4 with are usually pretty down to earth and understanding, and people that I can get to phase 4 with are usually colossal jerks. I joined a hardcore progression-based free company, but they are too busy gearing up with Dreadworm and augmented magic stuff to bother with me. Do you have any advice, not just for the fight, but on finding a static recruit that can actually match your own skill level, help you clear without being carried? I do not want to be carried. I want to succeed and I want to progress, but it's like you either suck at turn 9 and are stuck there, or you're playing Final Coil of Bahamut and the rest of the game doesn't exist to you. Please help. I'd appreciate input if you have it. Thanks for all your hard work and sharing knowledge. Keep up the awesome videos. Thank you. Let me see if I can answer this question in an adequate way. Finding a group of players that matches your exact skill level is damn near impossible. The exact skill level. There's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be people who play a role that maybe they're still kind of learning. There's a lot of little things that can throw off what you're trying to get done. I don't know what servers you're on, but if you can make it to phase 4, even if you die in that phase, I know you say you don't want to get carried, you want to learn the last phase for real, but you may want to consider the fact that if you can get to that phase, if you can work on it, go with a group that doesn't mind the fact that you haven't done it. It's really, you're stretching for everything at once here. Like, for example, if you went into the Party Finder on a super big server, or you just knew there were really good free companies on that server, and you said, hey, I've been to phase 4 before, I've never beat it, I'm worth a soldiery bonus, right? You could still do phase 1, 2, 3 perfectly fine, you don't need the carry. You tell them that, you're like, I don't need the carry. I've done phases 1 through 4, I just haven't been able to beat 4 yet. And then, you know, you said fire, ice, and thunder is easy for you, which means that you probably wouldn't wipe the party with a fire, like bringing a fire tether out at the wrong time, or killing your party with a thunder. And then for Thermionic Beam and Supernova, it's literally just first 2 supernovas go out, nobody in the center of the room, first 2 supernovas go out, everybody runs to the middle of the room, Thermionic Beam, fire hits the group, thunder moves out, and then it's dive bombs. Dive bombs mark A and C, or you can use static symbols. There's lots of little tiny tricks that you can use for that. I think you'd be okay in the last phase, but what I'm thinking is, if you die in the last phase and your group still beats the fight, I wouldn't consider that being carried because you got to that phase and you still survived for a good portion in that phase. I'd just say that that is another thing you get to see everybody else perform it properly. I'd say you need to kind of put yourself out there as somebody who really wants to clear it. You need to let people know you haven't cleared it before, but that you've at least experienced in some way, shape, or form all 4 phases, made it up to the last phase, and can survive for about a minute or so, or have survived about a minute or so in that phase. And show your worth. People will easily come to a party where they think they're going to be able to get 100 soldiery. And I know it's messed up and it sounds like you're getting carried, but I don't think you are. I don't think you're getting carried if you put yourself out there as worth 100 soldiery bonus. It just motivates different people to go out of their way to try and help you with it. I mean, yeah, their motivations are the soldiery, but the point is, you're not being carried because you're not running into the wall at the first half second of the fight. You're actually going through the whole fight and experiencing it, and then just ask them to raise you. If you die in the last phase, just ask them to raise you. I don't know. I've never seen these problems with getting a group to help clear for somebody before. Like, almost everyone I play with is at least to some degree willing to help a person who's not beaten a fight before, even if the soldiery bonus isn't fully there. So to me, it's just, these struggles are so things that I'm really, really foreign to. That's the best advice I have, man. It's not good advice. Just, you know, putting yourself out there is worth the soldiery bonus because it makes it feel like you're getting carried. But if you can do the fight and you can perform phase 1, 2, and 3 perfectly fine and then make it to phase 4 and you die at some point, to me that's not carry. That's the lack of experience. That's you needing more experience in that phase and then you getting it. Then you have the kill and you can keep getting more experience. You can ask that party if they can help you farm or something like that. You can then make a turn 9 farm party to try and learn more. I'd really have to know what servers you're on that it's causing you this much strife, because on both the servers I've been on, Sarkatanis and Gilgamesh, getting turn 9 parties was, you know, not super hard, even learning parties. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, man, I don't have the best advice. I gave it a shot, but on that note, I'm gonna have to end the video because I don't have much more to say. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope that you're getting ready for patch 2.5. It's going to be good fun. I am planning a live stream myself, but I'm going to make a separate video about that to give you guys all the details on what we're going to be doing. So thanks for watching the video. Be sure to put in your questions for next week. Like, favorite, subscribe, and share. I really enjoy doing the show for you guys. And be sure to stop by the podcast later tonight. So until 2.5, I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Take care.